Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Enphase, where each month we interview the experts leading the trends and technology that's advancing scholarly, scientific, and professional research. Today's topic is the semantic web and what you should be doing now to get your content ready for the next generation of search. Joining me today is Bob Kasenchak, Director of Product Development at Access Innovations and facilitator of the popular Taxonomy Bootcamp.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Marcy. Thanks for having me.
It is well known that artificial intelligence and machine learning is on a trajectory to quickly replace more traditional means of search. So where exactly do you see scholarly discovery tools and search headed in the future?
Well, I think there's a lot going on there. I think that scholarly publishers want to get to a point where we can ask Alexa, hey, Alexa, find me all papers on nonlinear optics. But we're actually a long way away from that point. There's a big difference between asking Alexa to find a nearby restaurant and asking Alexa to execute a complex search with a knowledge base behind it, with the natural language parsing and all the other things that happen there. So I think that's where publishers want to head, but I think there's an enormous amount of work to do before we get there. I envision an intermediary step where today's sort of traditional search box interfaces are enhanced by additional tools for discovery, both search and browse, navigation with semantic type ahead, recommendations of similar content, and other things enabled by semantics before we get all the way to the parsing, natural language parsing of voice commands required to do complex searches that people are getting used to with their home voice assistants and things like that.
Why will taxonomy, ontologies, and metadata design be so critical in achieving a fully functional semantic web?
Again, there are a couple of things going on here. Artificial intelligence is very much a garbage in, garbage out operation. The artificial intelligence and neural nets and things like that are designed to take the data that you feed it and train itself based on the information that you feed it. So feeding it poorly formed or dirty data is going to result in very, very poor results. So the main point, I think, is that artificial intelligence and related kinds of technologies are not a band-aid that you can for you to skip your semantics program or your taxonomy development or having clean metadata and disambiguated entities and structured data. It's actually more important than ever that you get your data cleaned up and embrace data quality, both going forward and in the backfile that you're going to feed into these large systems in order to power them and get relevant results going forward. So that means two things essentially. One is data structure, and two is data cleanliness and metadata and the knowledge organization systems that sit behind those. With data structure, unlike in the corporate world where you might have terabytes of Word documents and spreadsheets that are unstructured, most of the data that we have is in XML. The articles are either in native XML since about 1995 or so, or they've been converted to XML and require some cleanup for legacy content. So the structured part of the data is mostly done, because in scholarly publishing, when we say data, we mostly mean metadata and the content associated with that metadata, which is also marked up: title, abstract, references, methods, section, and so forth. So the structure for the data is given, and it's there, and it's widely understood and shared by everyone. So that's going to help. What still needs to be done is to maintain and guarantee data quality, both in the names of the researchers going in the names field and their affiliations, as well as the semantic tagging that goes on in the XML articles, and the knowledge bases that are behind those. So the takeaway should be that this is not a magic box. You don't just buy Watson and throw your content in it, and all of a sudden everything works magically and semantic search is enabled. There's still an enormous amount of work to do with data cleanliness and semantic tagging with a controlled vocabulary or some other knowledge organization system and ontology behind it, so that you can make inferences about those things. The other piece of this is to really go towards the semantic web, is that we need to embrace linked data principles. This is being done to a limited degree in individual publishers and some of the larger aggregators, but we really need organization A or organization B who publish on similar topics to say, hey, when I say nuclear physics, I mean the same thing that you say with nuclear physics, and we point to a third-party data source, whether that's Wikidata or DBpedia or some other linked data source, to connect all the content throughout the web. And that's an additional piece of work. I think that comes after the initial stage of cleanliness and feeding these artificial intelligence systems.
What are the major concerns or roadblocks preventing publishers, content aggregators, and libraries from addressing the necessary subject categorization and data structure to maximize artificial intelligence and machine learning?
I think that the major roadblocks are the same as the roadblocks for developing pre-AI semantics programs, which are time and expense. If you have 900,000 articles that you need to clean up, tag, and develop knowledge organization system around, that's not a trivial job. It takes time and effort and attention to detail and dedication to get these things into the shape they need to be. It was hard enough to explain the return on investment of a semantics program to someone who's not deeply involved in the search and the search interfaces, or data cleanup. You don't want your AI machine to assume that all the John Smiths are the same author in your content and make associations based on that. So the time that it takes to develop knowledge organization systems, get content tagged, and clean up the metadata is still the major roadblock. Fortunately, publishers who have already gone down this road and started implementing and invested in those systems will find it much easier to make the transition into AI and ML type systems.
We're out of time for today, but thanks for joining us. If you have any questions for Bob Kasenchak, you can ask them below. And if you like today's session, give us a thumbs up.
And if you want to learn more about the semantic web, join EnFace on Wednesday, August 29th for the half-day virtual workshop, Getting Your Content Ready for Semantic Search and AI. Go to www.enface.org for more information. Thanks for watching. We hope you'll join us next time.